Good afternoon to Anandar present here. My presentation topic is an ecofeminist study of the Forest of Enchantment by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni with reference to Staying Alive, Women, Ecology and Survival in India by Vandana Shiva. So the aim of the study is to shed light on the ecofeminist perspectives of Vandana Shiva in Staying Alive and to analyze and identify these perspectives in the novel The Forest of Enchantment. The preservation of nature and its resources is generally acknowledged to be a critical issue that requires immediate attention. The importance of nature to human survival and existence makes it essential that it be constantly conserved. Despite the fact that natural resources are plundered and exploited, it can be understood that women have a close connection with nature and a desire to protect it, though dominant forces in the society repress both women and nature on an equal basis. So, the term ecofeminism is a branch of feminism and ecology. The term was coined by a French feminist writer, Francoise Thibon, in her book Le Feminisme au la Mar in 1974. So, the term ecofeminism deals with the concept of gender to analyze the relationship between human and the natural world and to determine the interconnectedness between women and nature. And it also highlights the unlocks between the domination of both nature and women under hegemony. So, according to an ecofeminist, every living creature deserves respect, and this view can benefit both women and ecology. So, as I have chosen Staying Alive, Women, Ecology and Survival in India, the book, the author Vandana Shiva is an acclaimed Indian scholar. She is an author, environmental activist, and leader of International Forum of Globalization. She was referred to as Gandhi of Grains and Eco Warrior Goddesses by BBC. So, her book, Staying Alive Women, Ecology and Survival in India, which was published in 1988, was considered one of the best works of her and was awarded the Right Livelihood Award in 1988. So, she has been organizing various green movements in numerous nations and she has participated in Chipko movement and given time to numerous initiatives for agricultural and ecological preservation. She argues that women and nature have been unfairly exploited by capitalism, colonialism, and patriarchal culture, and that motherhood, nurturing, and fertility are the common threads connecting women and nature. So the aim of the study is to shed light on the ecofeminist perspectives of Vandana Shiva in Staying Alive, to identify and analyze these perspectives in the novel The Forest of Enchantments by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, which was published in the year 2019. The study focuses on the women character in the novel by applying the concept of ecofeminism as advanced by Vandana Shiva. It also focuses on the concept of patriarchy, exploitation, dominance in the context of interactions between natural resources and women in the novel The Forest of Enchantment. So the novel The Forest of Enchantment is retelling of a story of the epic the Ramayana from the perspective of Sita. So we all are familiar with the story of Ramayana where the central character, the women character Sita, is narrating the story from the person narrative. And Sita, the daughter of King Janaka, was found by him in agricultural field and brought up as the princess of Mithila. She was related to nature from the beginning, and when she grew up, she had a special quality such as healing properties. Her mother Sunena has built a healing house for her where she treated the deceased people, and more people longed for her. So Sita from the beginning of her life had a great connection with nature from her birth. And Sita had a great love for the nature and she restricted her maid servants to not to pluck the flowers from the garden because the plants may hurt because of the picking up of the flowers from the plant. Then Ram wedded Sita by raising the Bauhardhanu, the king, son of the king Dashratha of Ayodhya. So when she is going back to Ayodhya in a palanquin, she stopped the palanquin and Ram asked Ram to order the soldiers not to harm the trees on the way to their place. Sita, in a request tone, asked Ram, "This is their home and we are visitors. We should treat them with courtesy and not cause them needless pain." This is a claim that women are concerned towards nature and they don't want to do any dominant activity against the natural things. As pointed out by Vandana Shiva, women always care for nature and they try to preserve it at any cost. The patriarchal mindset cares less about preserving nature and never considers women's role or concern in preserving nature or treats them equally as others do. So, not only Sita, other women characters in the novel, including Kaikeyi, Urmila, Kaushalya, are all concerned as the conservators of nature and preservers of nature. So Kaikeyi, the third wife of King Drashadra in the palace of Ayodhya, was considered to be the cause of various catastrophes that took place in Ayodhya. She was the real instrument by which motive of the story was executed. Urmila, the sister of Sita, married Lakshman. When Ram was asked to go for 14 years to the forest, Lakshmanan joined Ram, but Urmila was abandoned and she was asked to stay in the palace. But Sita, who was so dedicated as a woman, she accompanied Ram and said that it is the duty of the women to go along with her husband to the forest, and she accompanied them. In the forest, she has collected so many seeds from Akalya and she started planting plants in the forest and she started cultivating food crops in the forest. This makes a claim that women are more concerned towards the agricultural aspects. Though she is in the forest and undergoing so many sufferings, still she planted plants and growed for their food. And Lakshman left Urmila. When Lakshman left Urmila in the palace, both the sisters Sita and Urmila were so sad and they were very depressed. This was depicted by the withering of the plants in the balcony. So this shows that women has a moral as well as physical contact with nature, where the withering of the leaves shows the sadness of the both sisters. So despite her rights and dharma, though Lakshman draw a line on the ground not to cross that, Sita provided food to Ravana who was in disguise. So here this shows that she's been connected to nature and that she's providing food to the other. So more incidents in the novel portrays that women has a moral connection and symbiotic relationship between nature, and they were also oppressed by the dominant and hegemonic power. So to conclude that women characters in the novel The Forest of Enchantment by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni play a vital role in looking after agricultural and food production and protecting life of others as mentioned by Vandana Shiva. Each of the characters from the novel taken for study characterizes the position of women and agony the dominant forces inflict on them. So The Forest of Enchantment by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni best illustrates all the key ideas of Vandana Shiva in the Staying Alive, Women Ecology and Survival in India. An understanding of Vandana Shiva's work can help any reader become sensitive to the ecofeminist aspects of Divakaruni's novel. Yes, sir. I have concluded. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ramya. Thank you for your presentation and taking as Ramayana as a source.
Yes,
Though
sir.
it was there in the novel itself, you presented well. My
Yes.
only question is
Yes.
Sita is a feminist? Because we talked about ecofeminism, my only simple question is Sita is a feminist?
Yes, sir.
Well,
She
how
was
could you bring her up?
uh, rather than saying she was a feminist, she is more concerned towards all the other living things, starting from plants to the other creatures of Rakshas. As it is a short presentation, I have cut shorted everything, but she cared for
No,
the
no,
other,
no, that's okay. Yeah.
not only for the female, but for all the things she has cared. So, as an eco-feminist, rather than claiming her as a feminist, I would claim her as an eco-feminist because she is more concerned towards nature, the other creatures, and all other living beings. So, rather than claiming as a feminist, I want her to be claimed as an eco-feminist. That would better suit her. Sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank,
Nice defending of the point. Thank you
thank,
very much, Ramya. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah, next. Who wants to come next? I think I'm seeing Monisha.
Good afternoon, sir. May I do next, sir?
Yeah. Go on, Monisha.
Okay, sir. Just give me a sec. I'll present my screen.
Yeah, okay.
Hope my screen is visible, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, sir. I'll begin, sir.
Yeah, okay, go on.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon to one and all present here. This is Monisha, research scholar at the Department of English and Foreign Languages, Bharatiya University, Coimbatore. I'll be presenting to you my article titled Shuttling Between Naturality and Normality, Articulating the Perinatal Turbulence and Identity Dissonance of a Tocophobic Enceinte Being through Narrativized Subjectival Anamnesis of the Matricine Turmoil. So to begin with, any condition of affliction would subsequently lead to chaos and disorientation. The keen focus here is spotlighted upon being stuck in between the liminal space of becoming a parent and not becoming a parent. Giving birth is a defining and life changing event. However, quite a number of women avoid becoming pregnant or giving birth due to the fear of miserable pregnancy, dystopic childbirth, and past traumatic episodes of childbearing. Now, tocophobia and labor dystocia are how the above mentioned anxieties are biomedically termed. The National Center for Biotechnology Information, NCBI, loosely defines tocophobia as the pathological and irrational fear of pregnancy and childbirth, and labor dystocia as the onset of sudden premature labor or difficult and traumatic delivery. An expectant mother's vulnerability prior and post pregnancy is brought out by these two infirmities, and they are clearly portrayed in the text chosen for study. So in 2017, the anxiety-filled diary of a pregnant hypochondriac, one ectopic, one miscarriage, one last chance, begins as a lifestyle blogger's online diary documentation of Amber McNaught's hardships with tocophobia and her anxieties over becoming pregnant again after going through the agony of miscarriage and the misery of an ectopic pregnancy. Expecting compassionate comments as responses to her desolate diary entries, she is in for a shock when a community of women identify with her after the metabolization of her grief-filled narratives. She gives a raw and honest account about her unnecessary yet haunting fears over the terrifying process of conception, the anxious journey of pregnancy, the traumatizing hours of childbirth, and the loaded responsibility of parenting, which had guided her to the decision of not begetting a child. Yet, driven by societal duresis and the guilt of untried attempts on this life giving affair, McNaught forces herself to make some trial moves with pregnancy and childbirth. But as powerful thoughts and anxiety influenced beliefs shape life, things go haywire. Probably for her, leading to a miscarriage the first time and an ectopic pregnancy in the second, aligning with her worst fears. Though she could desensitize herself from this phobia out of the experiences gained and the externalization done, she gets ready for another pregnancy with only a pessimistic attitude, disbelieving any arrival of goodness. She naturally starts expecting the superlative deterioration with mindfulness and always looks for a yardstick to believe that things are fine. So the narratival expression seems to be her only way to keep her sane and put the chaos, disbelief, and pessimism under control. Within a short span of 2 years, the frequently updated diary entries procured wide readership and went for publication in 2019. So the research approach that has been undertaken for the study is the analysis of the literary autopathography of McNaught, and it is discussed as to how a scriptotherapeutic approach suggested by Susan Heckey in her work Scattered Subjects, published in 1998, helps in keeping the chaos and control under equilibrium. Frank, too, in his work, The Wounded Storyteller, opines that chaos and control are the two ends of a continuum. In other words, they are like the two ends of a seesaw, where when one goes up, the other comes down. When an overload of chaos shoots up to a breaking point, an elevation or escapade is in one way achieved by the narratival expression of the chaos itself through a subjective retrospection or anamnesis in the mode of therapeutic reenactment. Now, we could see that the same approach is found with McNaught, where she uses narrativized reconstruction as a tool to externalize and deaden all levels of her chaos. Though McNaught indulges in a subjectival retrospection and narrativized reconstruction of her chaos to exert control over the anguish she undergoes as a result of her failures at pregnancy and childbirth, the narrativization is necessarily not a progressive and coherent build. However, we could see that the fragmented rebrooding over the chaos without much attention to its sequential delineation would be less taxing and more comforting for McNaught, though she is unable to produce a non-fractured narratival reconstruction of chaos. So, in other words, her chaos-induced narrativized fabrication, albeit incoherent and rationally unstructured, is a definite boulevard for the crude and unpolished display of her anguish, along with the externalization of grief and a redemptive sense of reassurance. But then it is equally important to focus on the causes of the fragmented narrativization of her subjective anamnesis of chaos and the positive and adverse backwashes that it might create for her. The narratival disintegration for McNaught's chronicling, on one level, is for the most part due to her scrambling between the different frames of time, that is, the preceding, during, and following the contemporaneous chaos of her third pregnancy. And on another level, the second level, it is due to the disconnected recalling of her various junctures of chaos, where she switches herself between the prevailing chaos and the prior chaos. Now, by prevailing chaos, I mean the chaos caused due to the concerns, anxieties, and worries over her third pregnancy and childbirth, and the prior chaos, I mean to say the chaos caused due to the ectopic pregnancy, miscarriage, and tocophobia. And these two, that is the switching between or the shuffling between prevailing chaos and the prior chaos, lead to the escalation of the prevailing chaos. So this movement for McNaught brings out a disjointed perception about the different temporalities, say the past, present, and future of contemporaneous chaos caused by her third pregnancy, along with the dissociation of the narratival revisitation meant for the externalization of her concurrent trauma. So McNaught, as she shuffles amongst the various temporal dimensions of her chaos that is attached to the third pregnancy, she experiences numerous dissonances in her identity as well. So when the disturbing perturbation arising due to her third pregnancy is considered to be, a metamorphosing cocoon, a metaphor, and a demarcating palisade, again a metaphor, we could see that a multipartite milieu of identity dissociations can unfold. So upon the reminiscence of excruciating hypochondria during her third pregnancy, that may in due course get a narratival redesigning, the victim author McNaught, she goes on to take a look at the infertile feminine self, that is first scarred by miscarriage and ectopic pregnancy that she had been before being struck by the contemporaneous chaos of her third pregnancy, and then goes ahead to revisit the distressing valetudinarian self she was while encountering the pressing affliction. Now, by way of explanation, the tormenting grief over the proceedings of her third pregnancy, it functions as a demarcating palisade, making her to perceive an altered sense of her older, barren feminine self that has been wounded by miscarriage and ectopic pregnancy, that is prior to the chaos, as an othered womanhood entity, and the revamped self post chaos as the presently sustaining individual labeled with a survivor identity undergoing a fruit bearing motherhood. So, in addition, the hypochondrial chaos during her third pregnancy, in this context, it works up as a precinct in the culmination of her infecund womanhood identity that has been already tainted by miscarriage and ectopic pregnancy that existed before the concurrent chaos of her third pregnancy, and in actuating her reframed fertile womanhood identity that mushrooms up or that comes up post the nagging anxiety of her third pregnancy. So, to be precise, McNaught's othered infecund womanhood identity gets into the cocoon of her hypochondrial chaos during her third pregnancy, goes through a considerable hollow metabolism packed up by, variegatedly angled understandings of the self, and it debauches with a voice of the survivor identity of parenthood that is toughened and tainted by prior chaos. In essence, we could see that in the revisitation of chaos for narratival reconstruction, McNaught sifts between the various temporalities and multiple identities realized due to the contemporaneous chaos arising from her third pregnancy, and scuffles with the disintegration of narratives alongside the alienation of her identities. So, in conclusion, I would like to say that for a traumatized individual, narrativized revisitation of the chaos encountered is a way out for reinvention of herself from misery to expiation and get a fresh hold or fresh reassurance into her blurred life. However, in this regard, when she is framing a structured narrative about the harrowing distress, it seems to be impossible because narratival fragmentation and episodic paroxysms, they erupt with an incoherence in bringing out the temporal dimensions, that is prior, during, and post chaos, and with a disparity in shuffling between the concurrent chaos and the past phases of the chaos. So, as a result, fractures happen in the narrativized recollection of the grief. It may bring about a disconnection with the existing identity because narratives and identities, meaning narratival identity, are strongly connected with each other, with one backscattering the other. In order to handle disintegrated griefs, disintegrated narratives, one has to apply the stabilization techniques of progressing from the past to the present and moving from the present into the future. Therefore, when the narratives converge upon harmony, the undulating identity attains a redefinition. So, in essence, the perturbed individuals redesign their disengaged identities by the narratival, though it is incoherent and an unstabilized reconstruction of the subject subjectival reminiscing of the trauma, and they could concentrate on the attuning of the tainted temporal dimensions in the narratival rendering along the fettling of dissonant identities. So when they are able to rearrange, reconstruct their narratives, they'll be able to attain a sort of
Manisha?
relief to their chaos. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And such a powerful presentation this was. I think that you non-stop continuing the presentation, which was good actually.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
My
so much.
only question is, if
Yes, sir.
such situation persists with a real woman in a real life, what could be the solution for that? Because after going through so many chaos, she
Mhm.
once again became pregnant and was second time, third time. So in such a situation for a normal woman, what would you say? How would they come out of this chaos? Because you've gone through this thing very
Yes.
deeply. So I'm just asking this thing.
Yes, sir. So, when for such women who are experiencing tocophobia or ectopic pregnancy or miscarriage, and as you said, they'll be facing so much of chaos. And the working solution could be one avenue for them to get out of this chaos would be a scriptotherapeutic approach. So that's what I was mentioning: the narratival revisitation, the subjectival anamnesis. So all these are solutions. It's just a working solution, but again, the limitation is it might not work for all. But people who are really into an active way of attaining or finding quest with their chaos through narrativization, they for them the solution will be really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Monisha. Thank you for
Thank
your
you, sir.
presentation. Thank you. Is anyone left or anyone finished? I think Nitya has been finished, right? Hello? Am I audible to everyone?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, you finished, right, Suranjini? Or you are
No,
there?
sir. I'm
Okay.
not, sir.
Okay, right. You can continue, Suranjini.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Be
My today's
precise
topic
and
is hello.
as be precise and finish it at least by 7 to 8 minutes, mostly.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So
Okay, sir.
introduce yourself and you can start your presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay. Let me start the presentation, sir.
Yeah, okay, go on.
My topic is marginalization and identity crisis in the novel Custody by Manju Kabur. Manju Kabur is a great Indian novelist. Her novels,
Suranjini,
Typical Daughter, Who,
sorry for the interruption. I request you to introduce yourself and then start
okay. I'm
in a
Sivaranjani. Hello, I'm Sivaranjani, a
go
research
on.
scholar. I'm Sivaranjani, a research scholar from MSS Buckford College. Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. My topic is marginalization and identity crisis in the novel Custody by Manju Kabur. Manju Kabur is a great Indian women novelist. Her novels are Difficult Daughter, Home, Immigrant, Custody, A Married Woman are the best novels of expressing the middle class women's desire, sufferings, longing of living independent life, self-respect, humiliation in family life. This paper is about examining the novel Custody with marginalization identity crisis. Custody main protagonists are Sahun and Ista. They all reach their identity through divorce. Sahun and Ista's way of getting self-identity is entirely different from each other. This paper is critically express the consequence of divorce. Women in India are suffering based on social norms, culture, and tradition. The definition of marginalization is the process or result of making somebody feel as if they are not important and cannot influence decisions or events. The fact of putting somebody in their position in which they have no power. And identity crisis is defined as a period of uncertainty and confusion in a person's life. This crisis occurs when a person's sense of identity becomes insecure and unstable. And identity crisis usually occurs when there is a change in a person's life. A marginalized person is suffering because of their state of unimportant and powerlessness. These unimportant and powerlessness lead them to identity crisis. Hence, if a person gets his self-identity, he will automatically come out from marginalized state. Manju Kapoor expressed how her protagonists or find their self-identity, independence, and inner self of womanhood in different ways. Sahun and Ista are the central characters in this novel. Sahun is a woman with a stunning beauty who longing to live independent modern life. Sahun's mother, Mrs. Sabarwal, wants to protect her daughter from unstable modern life. So Mrs. Sabarwal chooses Raman as best groom to her daughter for her daughter's safe and secure life. Sahun feels happy with her married life because Raman's economical status satisfies Sahun's material needs, car, care for Raman, such a worshipping husband. A state of happiness starts reduce when she gets pregnant early in their married life, and she feels totally disappointed with her second pregnancy and disturb her child-free life. So her desire of acting and modeling become vanished. For Raman's company work, he depends his most of the sorry he spends his most of the days for tour. He leaves his home for several days due to improving his new project Mango. Raman's absence in home makes Sahun mad. She starts to accuse him. Raman's absence and Ashok, the boss of Raman, his curiosity and a keen attention make Sahun falls into him. Ashok's intelligence and luxurious modern lifestyle make her fall in love with him. Because of him, Sahun reaches her dream of acting and modeling. This lavish modern lifestyle make forget her motherhood. She even ready to admit her 1.5-year-old daughter Ruby in play school. Her dreamy life turned her into a heartless mother. Because of her mother's action, Rugi affected physically and mentally. Arjun, Sahun's first son, also starts to skip his classes due to avoid his friends' inquiry about his family and his mother. Sahun asked divorce from Raman, but Raman tried to revenge her due to reject divorce. It makes her so violent, she kidnaps her own children and make Raman longing to see his children. Raman gives divorce to get his children from Sahun. After her divorce, she feels unfulfilled without her children. So she starts her next move to get custody of the children. In this process of getting custody, these two adults are clearly tossing their child's uh, kids for their ride. Arjun admits to boarding school and Rugi becomes so upset, feels torture and wet her bed by nightmare. Raman's need of Ista seduces Rugi. Ista, a divorced woman, she lost her marital life because of her infertility. Ista, the only daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Rajora, for her parents wish Ista marries Suryakanta, a shy, moody, pampered son by his mother. Chishta dropped out her desire of becoming teacher and her independent working life for her mother-in-law's demand of just being good homemaker. Ista marital life starts smoothly, but after 6 months of her marriage, she has started to chase by inquiry of delaying pregnancy. Ista delaying of getting pregnant make her feel vulnerable in her mother-in-law's house. According to Indian social customs, the role of women's birth is to be a good caring wife and a dutiful daughter-in-law, and her prime role is to give hire to her father-in-law's family's bloodline. Women's birth is useless without giving hire to her husband. In this society, women is not considered as a soulful living being. She is just considered like a trading goods. Suryakanta family and his mother's treating him like a child. So the responsibility of giving hire for that family entirely on Ista's head. She meet many doctors and do many rituals to get pregnant. Her fallopian tubes are affected because of her childhood disease. Through treatment, she have only 50% chance to getting pregnant. Her mother-in-law don't want to waste her money on Ista's treatment. She only want good fertility machine, not to invest on damaged goods. So Suryakanta's mother want divorce from Ista. Suryananda is a spineless, selfless, pampered child of his mother. He avoid to see Ista and he start to sleep with his mother. His behavior deeply wounded Ishta. Her mother-in-law scolded her like a shameless creature. The entire family neglect her like she is not existing there. Ishta starts to hate her body and feel like trash waste. Her body failed her due to infidelity. Her custom of society crushes her like worthless pair. She totally marginalized for her family and society. Isya is like Phoenix. She recreates herself to make useful to needy people like orphans and poor children. She starts to feel herself strong and meaningful to live. She gets her self-identity through her own self, not from another person. After she have relationship with Raman, she start to feel lively, and his daughter Ruhi takes her to the next level of soulful person. Ista easily attached to, with Ruhi. Ista's understand needs of Ruhi. She start to love her like mother. She makes her feel comfortable with her company. Ista's body rejects her to bear a child, but her soul finds a way to be a soulful mother. Manju Kapoor's portrayed here two angles of getting self-identity in custody. One is Vista starts her life as a typical wife and lost to find self-identity and meaning of life through her husband and his family. Because of her infidelity, she marginalized by her husband and his family. She realized the truth that self-identity cannot get from others, so she makes her way to reach her self-satisfaction with her own speed. This leads her to get her denial life of being a lovely wife and a soulful mother, and this position helped her to come out from marginalized state in the family structure. But Sahun is not like Ista. She gets all her basic needs through Raman, like decent life, lovely children, and worshipping husband. She fails to use this all comfortable life to reach her dream. She just depend another person who is better than his husband, both materially and sexually. To reach her dreamy life, she is even ready to ruin her family members like her husband and children. In human life, not all people have perfect life partner. Every family members have their own unfulfilled desire, and not every couples are made for each other. Intolerable marital life may use divorce to stop ruining their life with a false partner. But every husband and wife has flaws. If couples try to get divorced for these little things, there is no meaning of family, and this broken family will destroy the
Saranjani,
children's
sorry.
future.
Could you come
Okay,
to the conclusion, Saranjani?
okay. So,
Yeah.
getting process of getting identity led them to come out from marginalization. Like Ista, use she make her useful to needy peoples. She feels comfortable and she feels comfortable and she get her lost things as lost things of family.
Thank you, Saranjani, for your elaborate presentation on the novel. My
Thank
only
you, sir.
question is identity crisis can only be found in Indian literature, or can we find it in many other literature also? Because you talked about the Indian writer,
Okay,
so
sir.
the identity crisis can be applied to all other literature, or does it deep rooted in Indian literature?
No, sir, we can use it for all literature, sir. Every country and every culture have its own drawbacks, sir. Like in every society, peoples always try to show their powers on powerless people, sir. So we can see all every places, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Saranjani. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope everyone finished your presentation, right?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Sir, I didn't present yet.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes, sir.
go on.
Okay.
start with your introduction and just
Yes,
go on. As I told everyone, 7 to 8 minutes.
yes, sir. Good
Is
afternoon,
there
sir.
any other one? Yeah, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
What's your name? Joy?
Joy Hepzibah.
Joy Hasiba. Is there
Yes, sir.
anyone else apart from Joy in this group who has to present? I think everyone presented. I think you are the last one.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Joy. Continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joy, a research scholar from Bishop Appasamy College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. So, the topic of my paper is Psychic Trauma of Transgender Community During the Post-Transition Period in Kalki Subramaniam's We Are Not the Others, Reflections of a Transgender Activist. So, I've started this paper with a Mexican proverb that goes like this. They tried to bury us, they didn't know we were seeds. So, this is apt to the transgender people who are known as hijras in India. So, those people whose gender identity differs from the sex that has been assigned at birth. These people are considered to stand apart from the social and cultural stereotypical gender roles, and hence they happen to ridicule and get ostracized by the society. They are stigmatized in every aspects of life. They experience harassment, violence, prejudice, torment, and discrimination. Having experienced all forms of subjugation by the society, it weakens their self-worth and it forces them to suppress their true identity. They live their entire life in fear, exclusion, and invisibility. So, this paper portrays the traumatic psychology, transition, and also the struggles faced by them after the transition period. It is studied by Freud's psychoanalytic theory. It also picturizes the intense emotional trauma faced by them. Through the work of Kalki Subramaniam, We Are Not the Others, Reflections of a Transgender Activist. Kalki, a transgender writer, she throws light on the sad reality of trans people who are affected and hurt by transnesia in different ways. So, though it's not easy to express the turmoil through works, but Kalki points out all the traumatic experience caused by the society through her anthology, the work We Are Not the Others, with different genres like poetry, letters, art, prose, etc. So, this work, especially, is an anthology which contains different genres like poetry, art, letters, and prose, even the conversations with men down. Kalki ferociously pens down her agony and frustration that she faced in the anthology. Transsexual itself is an umbrella term that denotes, gender fluid people, agender, bigender, etc. Transgender people whose gender identity does not conform to their gender construction of the society that varies from the binary form. So, for many years, people had an assumption that being a transgender is a psychological disorder. But as per the researchers from World Health Organization, recently by many researchers proposed that transition is rooted in biology only, and the causes were based on their psychological, not on the psychological condition, but on the physiological condition. So before the transition, people often feel traumatic with a condition called as gender dysphoria. It is the rejection of their own self. That is, the transgender people, they doesn't want to fit in their own body and the gender that has been assigned at birth. They would always feel that they have been trapped in a wrong body. That is the sense. That is the sense of feeling. It's called as gender dysphoria. That they always have in the before the transition period. And when they reach the transition period, once the transition have occurred, they will opt for the sex reassignment surgery. Some may, but some may not. They only seek for some psychological care when they are not seeking for such surgeries. Compared to the people who identify themselves as heterosexuals or cisgender people like us, transgender community face a lot of harassment and discrimination from the society, which makes them intolerant. Sometimes they are forced to confront several extreme challenges, and that creates many psychological problems throughout their lifetime. So in modern era, even like the people, like the so-called civilized people, even neglect the third community directly and indirectly as well. So due to this negligence, they become the victim of psychological trauma that has been induced by us, the society, in all possible way. So the internal trauma that happens in individual might have a lasting impression on their psyche until their lifetime. So the aggressive behavior of the transgender people is the outcome of the hidden traumatic reasons in the unconscious mind, and which is displayed in concealed form. As Freud, talks about in his psychoanalytic theory, he talks about this unconscious state of mind, where it stores up all the past bad experiences. He demonstrates three states of mind called the eight ego and superego states of mind. Freud has approached this in his work called the Interpretations of Dream. So, in the post-transition period, transgender people undergo internal trauma, which is the outcome of the struggle faced in faced before the transition period, as well as the transmesia, which the society reflects on them. Transmesia is the term that is derived from the word transphobia. So, transphobia is when a situation that has been induced by the society as a misconception. I would say, like, it is a negative harassment towards them. We always have a prejudice and um, some misconceptions about the transgender community people, which leads so trauma for them. The way we reflect, the way we react with them, the way we see them, everything makes them more traumatic, and that state is called as transmesia. So Freud also, talks about this defense mechanism. So once we show the transmesia to them, either they take it in and get internal trauma, or sometimes the aggressive nature that they have is the outcome of all these transmesia that the society induced towards these transgender people. So when an unpleasant situation occurs, like when we people sees them or reflects them, sees them as a social deviant, the anxiety is created in their minds out of the bad experiences that has been caused, and this unpleasant situation is given to them. So automatically a kind of defense mechanism comes out, like any human being comes out, and even the aggressive nature or some adverse mental health problem is the outcome of all the transmedia that we society induced towards them. So due to these social stressors, many transgender individuals face transphobia, and also they face a lot of mental health related problem, but that creates negative health outcomes. The moment people get exposed to the transition, they are thrown out of their home. After the transition, I'm talking because I'm concentrating only on the post transition period. So moment they get exposed of their transition, they are not accepted by their own family and their people. So even they were physically assaulted and abused by even their own people. So cisgender people who consider themselves as normal find and tag them as social deviants because of the transmedia. So in the major reason for the transgender people being discriminated against is transmedia. And in one of the works, article that I came across, the social, psychological, and economical challenges faced by transgender individual, where Emily and Carrie, they talk about, they have done research on 300 participants, 300 transgender people, participants with studies, and the report shows that they were socially stigmatized along with the psychological pain that leads them to trauma. And I'd like to quote one such incident by Tawny, incident that happened to Tawny. And she explained, as a transgender, she explains that, I never know what bathroom to use. I've gotten to point where I'm afraid I'm going to get harassed and beaten up if I use a public restroom. I've had things thrown at me and doors slammed in my face when attempting to use women's bathroom. And I have been chastised by employees and acquaintances for using men's bathroom. So this is how the pathetic condition is of all the transgender people. Now, in this modern era or civilized era, we consider them like that there are certain changes, but then when we see overall, like even there are people now facing these kind of problem. Kalki Subramaniam, the writer that I've taken, is a transgender rights advocate, activist, entrepreneur, actress, revolutionist, and motivational speaker. Um, um, Through her work, We Are Not Others, We Are Not the Others, Reflections of a Transgender Activist, she has reflected her emotional experience that she has undergone, not only hers, but also similar people experience were written in this work. Most of all, she wanted to share the raw reality of the situation and trauma faced by them because of this transmedia especially. So, to address the issues and focus on their trauma, she writes this to voice out the social oddities in her anthology. She starts with saying this quote, like I quote, I speak because we need to be heard. I write because we need to be understood. I dare because we need to survive. So this is how she starts with, even to live, even to survive. You know, the reality is such. She is brought out in this way. Kalki explains her work that children especially, when she starts her work, she explains that children especially need to learn about transgenderism at a very young age. Only then they'll come to know, because it starts at school, at home, even a very young age. Trauma starts. So, Kalki reflects the sufferings of the transgender people without hiding out raw and awful facts. She reveals happenings in a very direct way, and she illustrates that how society treats them harshly despite the fact that they have to struggle the entire life and to fulfill even the basic needs. So the outrageous cry they underwent after the physical and psychological transition has been brought out. She retrospectively put all the experience in the text, reflecting the embarrassing situations they face, how people treat them ruthlessly. So in Beyond all the other work, she pens down a conversation with one of her friends titled "If You Don't Mind." It goes on like this: the friend of her asks, "Friend, yes." She replies, "Yes, Toller. If you don't mistake me, shall I ask you a question?" The person asks, and she tells, "Yes, please ask. I won't take it badly." And the person asks, "Are your breasts real?" And for this question, she cannot even answer. She gave an awkward silence that prevailed. She felt very embarrassed and realized it's so demeaning to accept such questions. Not even her. Nobody can ever ask such kind of intimate questions to anybody. But these are the questions that has been keep on asking. They have been hearing from people. And in the same work, and another poetry she has written, "Don't Tell That to Me." She has given a reply for that question, not only for that question,
Joy,
but yes, sir. Hello.
would you able to conclude?
Yes, sir. I'll do.
Yeah.
So, Kalke, at last, no, that was I was trying to tell. Like, she tells, she through the work, "Don't tell that to me." She tells, "I'm tired of you asking me about my family, about the curiosity. I'm tired of your sympathy. I'm tired of your stare and whispers." And she also tells, "I'm tired of you asking me to bless you." So she wants to tell to the society that she is also a normal human being, and treating them as social deviants through transmedia is something that is very offensive, and which leads them to a psychological trauma throughout their lifetime. And she concludes that poem with a line, I quote, "I am like you, and I am a human too." So, you know, and she also tells that at last, when she concludes this work, she tells, she has a request to all the transgender women, not only for the society, she tells it, but for all the transgender women and the transgender community, she tells that she requests to use their hands hereafter not to clap for money and long for love, because we always see them clapping for money and longing for love standing on the streets. But then she tells to use their hands to open the books and to build a new heaven. And that's the kind of solution, we would say, she gives it through the work, to all the transgender people. And also she directly attacked, I mean, it was a satire towards the society, how we people have a conception like transmedia towards them, and how that leads to their psychological trauma throughout their lifetime. um, Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much that you took this LGBTQ community for your
Sir,
presentation.
sir, it's not audible. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
clear, sir.
there is an announcement going on in our college. Just wait a second. Yeah, Joy, as I'm telling, it was a great presentation.
Sir, thank
Yeah, am I able to audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. As I was saying, nice presentation because you took this LGBTQ
Yes.
community,
Yes, sir.
and because I too fond of this community in the from starting my career.
Yes,
My
sir.
one big question to you is, as you
Yes.
already told that they are just clapping for money and clapping
Yes.
for love and all
Yes.
those things.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Even after so many exposure to all the people, particularly to the education fraternity, still people are behaving the same manner.
Yes, sir.
Even though not in a great number, but in a normal manner also they're just behaving.
Yes,
Now, I
sir.
just want to know your take or your solution towards this particular thing, that what is the future for this transgender community in
Uh,
person? I'm not talking about all the writers, because
yes.
all the people are coming to this particular point. I'm taking a take on the joy. What is your opinion on this particular thought? What is the future for this?
Okay, so according to me, if you ask, there should be a change uh, with transgender community as well as we people. So this transmesic nature, like the moment when we see us having phobia towards them, and also doing some size and avoiding them, this should be avoided actually, and that is from our side and from their community. They have to break their shell and they have to come out, and education is such a tool. That is what Kalki mentions at the end of this work. Okay, they should just open the books through their hand. They should open the books and they should find the new heaven, and also they should have the pen with them and write up. So education is the only solution, so that they have to use. And thinking about certain states that is still prevailing, that we could say it's some transgender people even in the signals and on the streets, they are still there clapping their hands and begging for money. We do not know what happened in their life exactly. They would have gone through a lot. Unless in other ways we put in their shoes, we cannot come to know what exactly happened in their life. Maybe they would have gone for some institution to study, or maybe they would have gone for some or went for some employment to seek for employment, but then they would have denied. We do not know. So whatever it is, they have to keep on trying. So being the aggressive nature of these transgender people, sometimes I happen to see recently, I heard a news that they were one transgender woman. She assaulted a man who was going on the bike, and she picked all the money. She got all the money, and that particular person was allotted this assaulted, and that came in newspaper. So that aggressive nature itself is the outcome of the society, how we treated us. So if we are, like, as a society, as a government, we are giving equal opportunity for them, denying that is considering them equally as any human being and giving them opportunity, this wouldn't have happened at all in the first place. So as a society, we need to have a revolution, we need to have a change. As well as them in their community, we need to create an awareness and about education, and that will be the first step for the solution of this problem that I've taken.
Thank you, Joy. Nice defending of the particular question. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir. Thank you so much.
I hope that everyone finished your presentation. So thank you very much for your patience listening and everything. All the best for your future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.